All right, today we're going to tackle a problem that I'm pretty sure drives almost all of us crazy. We're talking about how to learn things and, more importantly, how to make that knowledge actually stick. Let's jump right in.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever had this happen? You pull an all-nighter, you're cramming, you feel like you've got it all down, but the second you sit down to take that test, poof, your mind just goes completely blank. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, trust me, you are not alone.
You know, this exact thing was described to me by a really hardworking student last year. I mean, this kid was sincere. He was putting in all the hours, but he just kept hitting this wall. He told me, "Madam, I study daily, but in exams, my mind goes blank." His frustration, that feeling right there, is exactly why we're talking about this today.
So let's just call it what it is. The blank mind problem. It's that totally baffling feeling when all the information you worked so hard to cram in there just vanishes right when you need it the most. But what if I told you it's not really about how hard you study, but how you're studying?
I asked that student a really simple question. I said, after you finish a chapter, what do you do next? And his answer, well, it revealed the absolute #1 mistake that probably 90% of students make. He said, I just close the book and move to the next lesson. And that right there is the root of the entire problem.
And the reason that's such a huge mistake is all explained by this fascinating and honestly a little terrifying idea from psychology. It's called the forgetting curve.
Okay, so this was figured out by a psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus. And what he discovered is that our brains, well, they're just not built to remember everything automatically. Our memory naturally fades over time unless we do something intentionally to stop it. So this isn't some personal failure. It's literally just how our brains are wired.
But here's the part that is truly shocking. It's the speed at which we forget. You ready for this? Within just 24 hours of learning something new, you are likely to forget almost 70% of it. 70! It's just gone in a single day.
I mean, you can see it right here. Right after you learn something, your retention is way up high. But look at what happens just 24 hours later. It just completely nosedives. This is exactly why simply closing one book and opening the next is a total recipe for forgetting. So the real question is, how in the world do we fight this curve?
Well, that brings us to our very first proven secret. This is a powerful technique that's designed to completely break the forgetting curve. It's called spaced revision, and it's not about studying more, it's all about revising smarter.
Okay, so here's the pattern that works like magic. On day 1, you study the new stuff. Simple enough. But, and this is key, instead of just moving on, you do a quick revision on day 2. Then you do another one on day 7. And a final one on day 30. You see, every single one of these revisions sends a powerful signal to your brain that says, hey, this stuff is important. Don't you dare delete it.
Okay, so we've got our revision schedule down, but how exactly should we be revising? Well, that leads us right into our second secret, a method that top performers in pretty much every field swear by. It's called active recall.
Now, this comparison is everything. The wrong way, which is what most of us do, is just passive reading. You're just kind of looking over your notes again. The right way is to close the book and actively try to remember the information from scratch. Ask yourself questions about it. Try to explain the main ideas out loud. It's that active struggling to pull the information out of your brain that actually builds strong, lasting memories.
And our third and final secret? Well, it takes active recall and kicks it up to a whole new level. If you really want to lock in what you've learned, you have to teach to remember. This is without a doubt the ultimate test of your knowledge. This whole idea, which is often tied to the brilliant physicist Richard Feynman, is so simple but so profound. Basically, if you can explain a really complex topic to someone else using simple language, it means you truly mastered it. So try it. Teach a friend, teach your parents, heck, teach an imaginary student in your room. It forces you to organize your thoughts and instantly shows you where the gaps are in your own understanding.
So, what happened with that student I mentioned at the beginning? Well, he came back to me about 2 months later, and what he said was the best proof I could have ever asked for. He said, Madame, for the first time, I remembered everything in my exam. He didn't study more hours. He just finally started studying the right way.
And really, that's the big takeaway here. The goal isn't just to put in more time, because that can lead to burnout. The goal is to make the time you do put in incredibly effective. It's a complete shift in thinking, from just brute force to a much smarter strategy. So now I have a challenge for you. It doesn't matter if you're a student or just someone who loves to learn new things. Try these 3 techniques: spaced revision, active recall, and teaching to remember for just 1 week, just 7 days. See what happens.
Because at the end of the day, learning shouldn't feel like you're just pushing a giant rock uphill. There's a better way. It's not about studying harder, it's about studying smarter.